Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Hui's Life Lab. So, in this channel is the place where I'll talk about um, dating, life in general, and studying. So, this is a place where I share my personal experience and lesson I learned from them. So, if you find anything useful, you can try it out yourself. But if you don't agree with me about something, just skip the part, okay? No hard feelings. So, the topic of today's video is how do we categorize the majors in university? I think about this topic because recently I have one of my, how do I say, relatives ask me about how should he choose a major because he will go to university this year and he wants to know how to choose a major that is suitable to him. And after I share with him the my perspective, he told me that why don't you share this to other people? I found it very useful. So in this video, I'll try to replicate that conversation um, as closely as possible for you guys. Okay. So as we know, there is there are two main type of majors. So let me share my screen a little bit. I don't know what do you guys call it in English, but this is my attempt. So usually we have science, STEM and stuff like that, right? STEM and human and society major. So two categories, right? But this way of categorizing major, I found it kind of problematic because it can create a lot of problem for you. So I'll tell you about one of my own example later in the video. So what I want you to do is that you will add one more type of category in um, those major is that for example in science you have academic science and practical pragmatic science, okay, and it is the same for human and society major. So what do I mean? So let's take some example, okay? So a few days ago, I talked to one of my friends and I asked him, is marketing count as science? And he said, yeah, sort of, because so in marketing, you have to learn about psychology, consumer behavior, and stuff like that. They are a little bit related to human and society, but mainly this is a science major. But why pragmatic? Because when you think about marketing, it is very easy to understand, to conceptualize. Oh, so this is what marketing do and stuff like that. You promote a product so that you bring in more customer to buy the product. So it is not very hard to understand about the major. I don't say that the major is easy to learn. No, it's easy for us to imagine. What do we do in this major? Okay, so for practical and pragmatic major, it's easy for you to understand what will you do in the major. Let's take another example. So personally, I learned logistic and supply chain management. So it mainly deal with warehousing, transportation, procurement, purchasing, and import, export, like that. So it is not very hard to understand, right? So you want to move things, goods from one country to another, you need to have knowledge about import, export, transportation, and you want to store your goods, you need a warehouse. So these things, they are very easy to understand. So I'll put logistic and supply chain management into science and practical. Now, let's move to one example about science and academic. It's about, how do I say? Wait a minute. Aerospace engineer. Okay, I remember the name. Aerospace engineering. So I nearly got into this major because I like the feeling of working with planes. So I was too weak to be a pilot, so I want to be an aerospace engineer. But luckily, I stepped out of this major and I didn't go with it from the beginning. So why? Because when I study about their curriculum, the the subject is calculus 1, 2, 3, advanced mathematics, advanced physics, and how do I say aerodynamics. So all of those knowledge is very technical, and it is very, how do I say, you don't use those type of knowledge in your daily life, okay? So it's kind of very hard to conceptualize those knowledge. So I'll put it in academic science, right? Or for example, if you want to be a doctor, a physician, or maybe a nurse, or how do I say, a medic. Yeah. So my my relative asked me that, oh, uh, but why is learning to be a doctor in science and academic? I thought it has to be practical and pragmatic because doctors, we maybe meet them a few times a year when we are sick, right? It's not hard to imagine what would a doctor do. They exist, they are very present in our daily life. But let me tell you something. So, yeah, it's not hard to imagine what doctors do. They cure people and diseases, right? But the problem is that the knowledge they have to learn so that they can cure your illness. The knowledge is extremely technical. It's about how chemical reacts in your body, how what is the mechanism of some antibiotics or your organs. Those knowledge you don't use very often in your daily life. So it is very technical, very how do I say, far from your daily life. So I'll put doctor, physicians, and these things into science and academics. So let's take some example in human and society, right? Just imagine. So journalism, right? Journalism. It's not hard to imagine what does a journalist do. They write articles on newspaper, right? So your I have seen some curriculum in my country, Vietnam, about journalism, and they learn something like, let me see. Uh, So how do you they have a subject where they learn how do you organize a TV program or sort of thing or history of journalism. So the knowledge you hear here, it is not hard to conceptualize. Ah, so now I'll learn how to produce a TV program or a national program or how do I make a I don't know. So it's very easy to imagine what would a journalist do, and the type of knowledge is not that technical. I don't say it easy, it's just not extremely or heavily technical. Okay. Let's take a look at the other side of the extreme. So anthropology, do I say that correctly? Let me see this name again. Anthropology. Anthropology, right? So here you will learn about, how do I say, um, different race of human. Um, I have seen some uh, subject like economic anthropology, or you learn about culture, you learn about economic or societal problems of different region in your country. How do you collect quality data? How do you process qualitative data? Some sort of thing like that. So as you can see, it shows in the name of the major and the curriculum of the subject I just told you. They sound very technical, and it will involve a lot of experiment, or you have to do a lot of how do I say, scientific research. You spend a lot of time in your laboratory, or you do very academic things. Okay, so if you want to make sure maybe look at the major. Name is not enough. You have to look at the curriculum, the textbook of a subject, or to be even more sure, you can ask the alumni of that program or the students in that program. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let's recap a little bit. Categorize university major into just science and human and society. Maybe it's not that useful and it can cause you a lot of problem. Like if I have stepped into the science and academic in aerospace engineering, I would be very miserable right now. I'm more of a pragmatic guy, science guy. So I choose logistic and supply chain management. Yeah. So this type of framework will help you to uh, better choose your major in university. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.